The Bible contains the mind of God, the state of man, the way of salvation, the doom of sinners, and the happiness of believers. Its doctrines are holy, its precepts are binding, its stories are true, and its decisions are immutable. Read it to be wise, believe it to be safe, and practice it to be holy. It contains light to direct you, food to support you, and comfort to cheer you. It is the traveler's map, the pilgrim's staff, the pilot's compass, the soldier's sword, and the Christian's charter. Here, paradise is restored, heaven opened, and the gates of hell disclosed. Christ is its grand subject, our good the design, and the glory of God its end. It should fill the memory, rule the heart, and guide the feet. Read it slowly, frequently, and prayerfully. It is a mine of wealth, health to the soul, and a river of pleasure. It involves the highest responsibility, will reward the greatest labor, and will condemn all who trifle with its sacred contents. Pray it in, read it through, live it out, and pass it on.
Now we will talk about the children of Israel. The term children of Israel is used to refer to Jacob's 12 sons. Of all of his sons, Joseph was his favorite. God gave Joseph dreams of greatness. Genesis chapter 37, verses 5 through 11 says, "Now Joseph had a dream, and he told it to his brothers, and they hated him even more. So he said to them, 'Please hear this dream which I have dreamed. There we were, binding sheaves in the field. Then behold, my sheaf arose and also stood upright. And indeed, your sheaves stood all around and bowed to my sheaf.' And his brother said to him, 'Shall you indeed reign over us? Or shall you indeed have dominion over us?' So they hated him even more for his dreams and for his words. Then he dreamed still another dream and told it to his brothers and said, 'Look, I have dreamed another dream. And this time the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars bowed down to me.' So he told it to his father and his brothers. And his father rebuked him and said to him, 'What is this dream that you have dreamed? Shall your mother and I and your brothers indeed come to bow down to the earth before you?' And his brothers envied him, but his father kept the matter in mind." The dreams and Jacob's favoritism created jealousy in his brothers and conflict for the family. The brothers plotted to murder Joseph, but instead of killing him, they sold him as a slave. And as we're going to see, we're going to find out that through some of the difficult experiences we face, God is able to bring blessings on our lives that may not have been able to be received except through difficult circumstances. In Genesis chapter 37, verses 3 and 4, and verse 28, it says, "Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age. Also, he made him a tunic of many colors. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peaceably to him. Then Midianite traders passed by. So the brothers pulled Joseph up and lifted him out of the pit and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver. And they took Joseph to Egypt. Genesis 39:1. Now Joseph had been taken down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him from the Ishmaelites who had taken him down there. While working for Potiphar, Joseph gained the favor of Potiphar and the attention of Potiphar's wife. She tried to seduce Joseph, but he ran away from her. Joseph was then accused of a crime he did not commit and was thrown in prison. Genesis 39:20. Then Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were confined, and he was there in the prison. While in the prison, Joseph gained the favor of the jailer and became the leader of the prison. He interpreted the dreams of two fellow prisoners, workers from Pharaoh's palace, and the dreams came to pass as interpreted. One of the workers returned to work for Pharaoh. So even in the dark situation that Joseph was in, where he had been sold into slavery by his brothers, and where he had been put in jail for a crime he did not commit, he was still able to allow a good attitude to cause him to be a leader. And even in a place where he could look upon himself as despised, he was someone who was found to have favor. Years later, this worker told Pharaoh about Joseph when Pharaoh had a dream. After Joseph correctly interpreted Pharaoh's dream, he was promoted as the second ruler of Egypt after Pharaoh. Because of this position, Joseph's own dreams came true, and he saved his family from a great famine. Genesis chapter 41, verses 39 through 40. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Inasmuch as God has shown you all this, there is no one as discerning and wise as you. You shall be over my house, and all my people shall be ruled according to your word. Only in regard to the throne will I be greater than you." Joseph's family traveled to Egypt to buy food, and they bowed before Joseph, fulfilling Joseph's dreams. Israel and the entire family moved to Egypt and were given the best land in all of Egypt. But this, only after several years, over 10 years of Joseph being estranged from his family, put into prison, sold as a slave, and having to endure hardship. Genesis 46, verse 5, 27 to 29, then Jacob arose from Beersheba, and the sons of Israel carried their father Jacob, their little ones, and their wives in the carts which Pharaoh had sent to carry him. All the persons of the house of Jacob who went to Egypt were 70. Then he sent Judah before him to Joseph to point out before him the way to Goshen. And they came to the land of Goshen. So Joseph made ready his chariot and went up to Goshen to meet his father Israel. And he presented himself to him and fell on his neck and wept on his neck a good while. And Joseph situated his father and his brothers and gave them a possession in the land of Egypt, in the best of the land, in the land of Ramses, as Pharaoh had commanded. Joseph forgave his brothers because he realized that God had allowed all the bad things that happened to him to be used for his good. And we can see from this that in spite of the negative circumstances which we face, in spite of the situations which people put us in that cause us hardship, sometimes it is for a greater good that God may have to bring blessing, not only on our own life, but also on the lives of others. Genesis 50, verses 19 to 21, Joseph said to them, "Do not be afraid, for I am in the place of God. But as for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, in order to bring it about as it is this day, to save many people alive. Now, therefore, do not be afraid. I will provide for you and your little ones. And he comforted them and spoke kindly to them. Key number 7. Forgiveness releases God to bless us. Unforgiveness shuts God out. And when we learn to apply this principle in our lives, we allow God to bless us in spite of the things that other people do to us. We put our confidence and our trust and our faith and our hope in God, no matter what circumstances we face. The life of Joseph reveals this fact. When God gives you a promise and you obey God's plan, like Abraham, who obeyed in faith, and Joseph, who forgave others and ran from sin, you too will be blessed. God always gives you a choice, your way or his way. In Lesson 4, we will learn great lessons from the experiences of the Israelites. Exodus 1:8 says, "Now there arose a new king over Egypt who did not know Joseph." We will see how the persecution of the children of Israel led to their miraculous deliverance. With Joseph, we see how his suffering allowed a family to be blessed. We will see how the suffering of the children of Israel will allow many nations of the world to be blessed by their deliverance.
God has a purpose for every hardship in our lives. No matter how hard our circumstances are, God can make us grow stronger and better. God had a promised land for the children of Israel, and this promised land was not Egypt. God will often allow adversity in our lives to move us into a better place. Perhaps the reason why Moses killed the Egyptian was because he was driven by a sense of destiny, that he would somehow one day deliver the children of Israel. God knew what he was doing, and God knew the talents and abilities that he had given to Moses.